Good evening, everyone. So, our topic for tonight is all about nationhood, nationalism, and globalization. Nationalism. Nationalism is an ideology which holds that the state and the nation should be unified. So, it is like a political principle which holds that the political and the national unit should be congruent. It also attempts to accomplish this congruence and have been studied from a variety of perspectives. Nationalism is also defined as being devoted to your country or the feeling that nations should act independently instead of working together. So, this belief that nations will benefit from acting independently rather than collectively is emphasizing that national rather than international goals. The advantages and disadvantages of nationalism. These are the advantages of nationalism. First, it strengthens a nation. So, a nation that is superior to others has more bargaining power in the global market. So, a single nation's identity makes it more strong and can negotiate from a position of strength. Second, nationalism is unifying. So, it provides a unifying force that overshadows tribe identities. So many countries are living in peace because of nationalism, even though they have so many tribes. For example, Italy, Germany, and Tanzania can attest that it has really brought unity. Third, it creates a big government. So, this has helped in very many aspects, such as building schools and hospitals for people. So, a mega system is able to function just because of nationalism. So, people are able to share national resources without conflict. It is one of the factors that cause development in a nation. This, in turn, increases the living standards for people. Fourth, it brings job opportunities. It brings endless job opportunities just like globalization does. Furthermore, it encourages people to succeed in their lives by doing more. So, through this, it enables them to move and settle from one place to another to continue pursuing their dreams and careers. For instance, someone can come to your country from any place on this earth and continues pursuing their happiness. All that is a fruit of nationalism. So, this remains to be one of the best advantages of nationalism. Lastly, unity and diversity. So, nationalism ensures that there is unity by establishing a single identity in terms of culture, language, and religion. This also ensures diversity from various ethnic groups to promote the growth of the nation. If there are advantages, there are also disadvantages. And these are first, leads to separation. So it separates it from the rest, making the nation lonely. So this affects the country's economic status since it makes it difficult to freely engage in imports and exports with other nations. This can also make it difficult to form treaties with the nation, so nationalism creates separation among individuals based on socio-economic status. Second, promotes hatred among nations. Nationalism makes people an intolerance for people from other nations. So this results in extreme hatred among the nations affected. So some people may feel prejudice of others in the nation. Third, undermining others' nationalities. So a nation that practices nationalism and has more powers over another. So this can insult and hurt other nationalities based on their culture, religion, and political ideology. Fourth, compromise the security of nation. So nationalism may make a nation take extreme measures, left or right fringes, in the name of securing the nation. This can also lead to a civil war where one nation feels that their values are being attacked. Lastly, excessive chauvinism. So this can lead to tragic wars. So when we say chauvinism, it is an attitude of superiority towards others or having excessive or blind patriotism. Nationhood. Nationhood is the state of being a nation or a large group of people united by common language, culture, or economic life. So there are three key elements of nationhood. These are sovereignty, self-determination, and self-sufficiency. Sovereignty. It is a political concept that refers to dominant power or supreme authority. In a monarchy, supreme power resides in the sovereign or king. So, in modern democracies, sovereign power rests with the people and is exercised through representative bodies such as Congress or Parliament. So, thus, sovereign is the one who exercises power without limitation. And this also carries implications of autonomy to have sovereign power to be beyond the power of others to interfere. Second is self determination. It refers to a person's own ability to manage themselves, to make confident choices, and to think on their own. So, given how self determination can help with achieving independence, this concept also plays an essential role not only in the overall well being of the individual, but also their overall psychological health, because self determination puts the individual in the driver's seat. So it makes the person both responsible and potentially capable for whatever happens. Lastly, self sufficiency. So the quality or state of being able to provide everything you need, especially food, without the help of other people or countries. Weak nation and soft state. So according to Jose Abueva, our weak nation and soft state are clearly related to many political leaders who use their power and authority more to serve their private and political interests than to serve the common good and the national interest. So as a whole, they have failed to lead us towards our constitutional vision, ideals, and goals through good governance and the rule of the law. So, soft states and weak nations are dominated by powerful interests that exploit the power of the state or government to serve their own interest rather than the interest of their citizens. They also refer weak nation and soft state as failed state. So, some examples of it were Syria, Somalia, Myanmar, Chad, Iraq, Yemen, Democratic Republic of Congo, Central African Republic, Liberia, Yugoslavia, Lebanon, Afghanistan, Sudan, and South Sudan. So, a failed state is a political body that has disintegrated to a point where basic conditions and responsibilities of a sovereign government no longer function properly. So, a state can also fail if the government loses its legitimacy even if it is performing its functions properly. So, likewise, when a nation weakens and its standard of living declines, it introduces the possibility of total governmental collapse.
Let's talk about democratic consolidation. What is consolidation? The possibilities are democratic survival or durability, democratic deepening, democratic completeness, and acceptance of democracy is the only game in town. What is democratic consolidation? Robert Dahl's definition: polyarchies, which are commonly referred to as liberal democracies, civil and political rights plus fair, competitive, and inclusive election. During the past quarter century, the third wave of global democratization has brought more than 60 countries around the world from authoritarian rule towards some kind of democratic regime. In the immediate aftermath of all these democratic transitions, pressing concerns have quickly arisen about how to strengthen and stabilize these new regimes. With the extension of democracy to additional countries now having slowed, political scientists and political actors in new democracies have been increasingly focusing on what has come to be called democratic consolidation. Originally, the term democratic consolidation was meant to describe the challenge of making new democracies secure of extending their life expectancy beyond the short term, of making them immune against the threat of authoritarian regression, of building dams against eventual reverse waves. Democratic consolidation is the process by which a new democracy matures in a way that it becomes unlikely to revert to authoritarianism without an external shock, and is regarded as the only available system of government within the country. This is the case when no significant political group seriously attempts to overthrow the democratic regime. The democratic system is regarded as the most appropriate way to govern by the vast majority of the public. And all political actors are accustomed to the fact that conflicts are resolved through established political and constitutional rules.
The nation building and modernization. To understand the concept of nation building, one needs to have some definition of what a nation is. Early conceptions of nation defined it as a group or race of people who shared history, traditions, and culture, sometimes religion, and usually language. The people of a nation generally share a common national identity, and part of nation building is the building of that common identity. Some distinguish between an ethnic nation based in the social construction of race or ethnicity and a civic nation based in common identity and loyalty to a set of political ideas and institutions, and the linkage of citizenship to nationality. Nation building and modernization, defined as the process through which the boundaries of the modern state and those of the national community become congruent. The desired outcome is to achieve national integration. Nation building has been theorized as a structural process intertwined with industrialization, urbanization, and social mobilization. The use of armed force in the aftermath of a conflict to underpin an enduring transition to democracy. Many factors such as prior democratic experience, level of economic development, and social homogeneity can influence the ease or difficulty of nation building. But the single most important controllable determinant seems to be the level of effort as measured in troops, money, and time. Multilateral nation building is more complex and time consuming than a unilateral approach, but the multilateral approach is considerably less expensive for individual participants. Multilateral nation building can produce more thorough transformations and greater regional reconciliation than can unilateral efforts. Unity of command is as essential in peace operations as it is in war. This unity of command can be achieved even in operations with broad multilateral participation when the major participants share a common vision and tailor the response of international institutions accordingly. Nation building is a normative concept that means different things to different people. The latest conceptualization is essentially that nation building programs are those in which dysfunctional or unstable or failed states or economies are given assistance in the development of governmental infrastructure, civil society, dispute resolution mechanisms, as well as economic assistance in order to increase stability. Nation building generally assumes that someone or something is doing the building intentionally. Neighboring states can exert significant influence for good or bad. It is nearly impossible to put together a fragmented nation if its neighbors try to tear it apart. Every effort should be made to secure their support. Accountability for past injustices can be a powerful component of democratization. Such accountability can be among the most difficult and controversial aspects of any nation building, however, and therefore should be attempted only if there is a deep and long term commitment to the overall operation. There is no quick fix for nation building. None of our cases was successfully completed in less than 7 years. Why does nation building matter? Nation building matters to intractable conflict because of the theory that a strong state is necessary in order to provide security, that the building of an integrated national community is important in the building of a state, and that there may be social and economic prerequisites or co-requisites to the building of an integrated national community. Democratic peace hypothesis by Immanuel Kant says that perpetual peace can be achieved by developing a federation or league of free republican nations. Further, when nation building implies democratization, there is the further hypothesis known as the democratic peace hypothesis, originally explicated by Immanuel Kant in the 17th century. The democratic peace hypothesis says that Perpetual peace can be achieved by developing a federation or league of free republican nations. Representative democracies organized in an international organization would bring peace. Political scientists who have explored this hypothesis have focused on one of two versions. Democracies don't make war against each other, or democracies don't initiate war at all. There is certainly evidence of the former, and some evidence of the latter. And the other side of the coin is that nation building may sometimes be simply another name for external intervention and the extension of empires. If it can be said that failed states are the cause of national, regional, or world security problems, or that human rights abuses are so extensive that the need to overcome them in turn overcomes the traditional sovereignty rights of states under international law. Then, intervention in the name of nation building can be seen to be justified. Sometimes, nation building may simply be used as a justification for the expansion of imperial control, so nation building matters, but what is meant by nation building matters even more. Challenges to the nation building. Nations are not natural and they do not have any ontological reference. Instead, their power lies in the belief that they exist and in the nation effects that nation building activities produce largely to support such belief. Contradictions inherent in the logic of nationalism. For example, nation states frequently become entrapped in the incongruity between their economic and cultural goals. For many, the immigration of foreigners is essential to continued economic expansion and consequently to the state's fulfillment of its obligation to pursue the best interests of the nation that it represents. Yet, in fulfilling this obligation, the concomitant need for cultural uniformity is undermined. Attempts to reconcile these contradictory demands frequently involve immigration policies that privilege those migrants who are deemed most likely to assimilate with the national culture. And last, the emergence of neoliberalism's progeny, the super rich. Therefore, if nation building in the 20th century is to be successful, it may want to return to look at some of its early theorists. The importance of democratic values, of the civic culture and civil society that develop and sustain them, the importance of increasing social, political, and economic equality, and of human development rather than just economic development or state building, are key in any successful strategy for long term democratic nation building. Nation building is more than just state building. To be a sustainable force for peace building, it must incorporate more than just the appendages of democracy.
Now I am going to discuss about the vision for the future. So what I'm going to present is about the Philippine Development Plan made by the National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA. Ambition Natin 2040. Ambition Natin 2040 is a long-term vision for the Philippines. First, it represents the collective long-term vision and aspirations of the Filipino people for themselves and for the country in the next 25 years. It describes the kind of life that people want to live and how the country will be by 2040. As such, it is an anchor for development planning. It started on the administration of President Duterte, and on October 11, 2016, he signed the Executive Order Number 5 S 2016, approving and adopting this 25-year long-term vision, which is the Ambition Natin 2040, as a guide for development planning. Ambition Natin 2040 is a picture for the future. It is a set of life goals and goals for the country. It is different from a plan, which defines the strategies to achieve the goals. It is like a destination that answers the question, where do we want to be? It is a plan that describes the way to get to the destination. And Ambition Natin 2040 is the result of a long-term visioning process that began in 2015. More than 300 citizens participated in focus group discussions and close to 10,000 answered the national survey. Next is the life of all Filipinos in 2040 is
perceived to be matatag, maginhawa, at panatag na buhay. Filipinos enjoy a strongly rooted, comfortable, and secure life. Filipinos are strongly rooted, matatag. Filipino families live together. There is work-life balance so that there is time to spend with family even for members who work. On weekends, families and friends enjoy time together in parks and recreational centers. Filipinos are comfortable or maginhawa. This means that no one is poor, no one is ever hungry. Filipino families live in comfortable homes with the desired amenities and secure tenure. Families and friends are within reach because transport is convenient and affordable, and they can take a vacation whenever they want or need within. And last is Filipinos are secure or panatag. Filipinos feel secure over the entire lifetime. They expect to live long and enjoy a comfortable life upon retirement. There are resources to cover unexpected expenses, and there are savings. They also feel safe in all places in the country. Filipinos trust their government because it is free of corruption and provides service to all its citizens equally. Realizing the ambition. All sectors of society, whether public or private, should direct their efforts towards creating opportunities for Filipinos to enjoy a matatag, maginhawa at panatag na buhay. Government in particular must use its tools of fiscal, monetary, and regulatory policies to steer the development path towards enabling Filipinos to attain their ambition. This pertains to all dimensions of development, like economic, human and physical capital, institutional, social, and cultural. If this ambition is a success, by 2040, the Philippines is a prosperous middle class society where no one is poor. People live long and healthy lives and are smart and innovative. The country is a high trust society where families thrive in vibrant, culturally diverse, and resilient in communities. The following are the priority sectors that have direct impact on ambition: housing and urban development, manufacturing, connectivity, education services, tourism and allied services, agriculture, health and wellness services, and financial services. Government must also ensure that economic growth is broad based across sectors and regions. It must result in a more equal income distribution. Moreover, there should be aggressive interventions to increase opportunities for the poor to participate in the growth process, even as they are protected against the negative impact of economic and political instabilities, natural calamities, and man made calamities. This ambition must eradicate poverty by 2040, if not earlier than 2040. So, this is the end of our report. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and good evening.